Yeah.
Oh, no, I haven't. I should do that. See, see how long it takes.
It's just some sort of...
But if you make a couple, I make a couple, then there's a presence there.
That's right. Yeah, we should. And I have to stop and get a copy every time I see him here. But he does go, and I think that's, you know, it's always easy. I go to some of those shops, say, hairstyle, that is open, get some business, but, you know, live there and let them know, because there's, so you should introduce them to
The chamber quite a bit. We ready?
I'm good.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt. Hey, you got to start.
We got to keep on schedule. We got 4 seconds.
Right, fire away. Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. I would like to call to order the regularly scheduled Sylvania Township Board of Trustee meeting, May 21st at 6 p.m.
Call the roll. Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
Mr. Haddad.
I'm last. I'm here.
Mr. Denaway.
Here.
Simcoe here.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any corrections to be made to the May 7th meeting minutes?
I didn't see any.
No, I didn't have.
We have moved by Mr. Haddad.
Yep.
Seconded by Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Calling the roll, Mr. Haddad.
Yes.
Mr. Denaway.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes. Additions or deletions to the agenda this evening?
I have one addition under administration. It's a resolution to execute an agreement for provisions of countywide emergency medical services. I'll discuss it at that time.
I have a couple things under zoning, but we'll get there when we get there.
I have a guest, Melissa Clark, who wants to speak on, wants to ask the board for a proclamation.
Okay. Where was that going to go under? We want to do that up front here? Okay.
One more thing, I have I'm requesting executive session for personnel, non-union workers' wages.
Okay.
Thanks.
Well, then I guess we'll switch the order up here a little bit. I would like to offer resolution number 13-0. Oh, wait, I guess, should we do the hearing of the public first?
Yeah, and then I think at that time we'll have the,
Okay. Did anyone sign in for specific agenda items?
for agenda items, yes, but none.
Okay. Do we want, what items are they?
I'll get you.
Okay. Tom, if you don't mind, we'll wait till we bring up the insurance and then we'll let you speak. And Melissa, we will start by offering the resolution to proclamation of National Remodelers Day. And then you can speak or at that time. All right, so I would like to start off with Resolution 13-059, Proclamation of a National Remodelers Month. Whereas owning a house is the American dream, for remodelers, it is their dream to be part of the transformation of turning a house into dream homes through innovative products, existing designs, functional additions, artisan methodology, and defining experiences. Whereas in existence since 1968, the Professional Remodelers Organization, PRO, formerly known as the Toledo Home Remodelers Association, has been committed to integrity within the remodeling industry. Whereas all Pro members subscribe to a common code of ethics requiring adherence to established businesses and professional standards, and is represented by over 40 different types of home improvement contractors, suppliers, and supportive companies. Through this common commitment, Pro members offer the advantage of consumer confidence and credibility. Pro is recognized in Northwest Ohio and Southeast Michigan area for its efforts to assure quality, longevity, efficiency within the home remodeling industry. Now therefore be it resolved on this May 21st, 2013, let us remember the homeowners and remodelers of not only today but those of the future, and recommit to the revitalization of our community at large through the remodeling by acknowledging May as National Remodelers Month.
Second. You can open it up.
Discussion? Any discussion, or does anyone want to speak?
Well, we've got a proclamation to present to Melissa. Kevin, did you sign that?
Yes, it's all set.
Okay. If you want to come up here, we'd like to give you this proclamation, and at that time, if you would like to say a few words, that would be fantastic.
We should vote it through then.
Maybe we should.
Okay.
Call the vote.
Okay, Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Heniak?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. So appreciate this. You know, we at Pro are relaunching our commitment to trying to get the word out. At the time right now, there are so many homeowners that are going through struggles keeping them home. Not to mention, there's so many people out there not running around and taking their time. So we are really relaunching our efforts, and this is the beginning of our dream, I guess, and in a sense of letting people know that we're here for them.
Oh, what a great, and what a great job you guys did with the Taylor family.
Yes. Well, I wanted to
And that was
say,
just
thank you
so-
all.
I'm so excited, and you guys just nailed it right. It was beautiful.
Great
It's been
job.
really
Great job.
Thank you. Well, thanks for all the help pushing it through, because I know it was a lot of work. Fantastic. Well, thank you again.
Thank you.
I so appreciate it.
Okay, so that will bring up Daryl.
Good evening. I've got the monthly report for zoning for the month of April. The Board of Zoning Appeals had 3 cases. 5464 Monroe Street had 3 variances, 2 were approved, 1 was denied. There's also a variance approved for 4739, 4777 Quarry Road, and 1 denied for 5351 Bainbridge. The Zoning Commission heard the Oakleaf Village zone change that this board heard 2 weeks ago, and we did not have any project plan review for the month of April. For the permits for the month of April, we had another good month, 42 permits for the month, which, as you can see, compared to the previous 2 years, was significantly higher. And dollar value was about the same as last year, just a little bit less at $2.3 million. And then our year-to-date, we're at 114 permits, which is above the past 2 years, and we're at about $8.5 million in dollar value. And also, I emailed to the board members, didn't have a chance to get it on the monthly report, but the single-family dwellings for the year-to-date, we're at 23. Last year, at this time, we were at 10. And the previous 2 years was 15, so that continues to move along, and we're at almost just under $6 million in estimated value of single-family dwellings for year-to-date. One other note I do have is the garage on Marsrow Avenue that this board voted to abate a month ago. Last Friday, the 17th, was the 30 days for that property owner to take care of that situation. It has not been taken care of. We're waiting to either get the certified letter back or the signed receipt for the certified letter from the post office. I'm in the process of getting estimates from a couple companies for demolition. One I've already received, and one I should receive in the next couple of days. So hopefully in about the next week or so, we'll get that taken care of.
Do we
That's all I have.
have the authority to go on someone's property and tear it down? And-
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do, especially if it's a nuisance. Or
Okay.
nuisance abatement.
Once the board voted to abate that.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you
Good
have
thing.
some-
Yes, I do. I've been getting numerous complaints about people putting hen houses in their yards and stuff and raising chickens. And I know we have a policy that we're not allowed to do that out
Right.
there. And they're all saying, well, Toledo allowed it from the people who want them. The neighbors are complaining because they have them. So I don't know what the board wants to do and how you guys want to look into the situation, because if it's acre or more, they can have them. If it's less than an acre, you're not allowed to have them. And especially in a residential, but if it's agriculture, they can have them. So I don't know how you guys would like to progress on that one.
Well, Daryl and I and John had a meeting yesterday on this subject, and, you know, it is against our zoning code at this time. So when we get a complaint like that, you know, Daryl, you go out and go through the process to tell them that they're prohibited unless they do, I think at 1 acre, you're allowed 1 animal.
1 to 5 acres, 1 animal per acre.
Yes.
And over 5 is, we have no control over.
Right.
And once we get a complaint, we're put into action. I mean, I know someone in my neighborhood has hens, and no one complains about them. So, you know, I don't think it's an issue, but I do think if you're living in an established neighborhood like yours, Kevin, where the complaint that I received came from, you know, I think it's kind of unreasonable to all of a sudden wake up to chickens, you know, after you've been living there for 15, 20 years or something, and then, you know, that's kind of a small footprint to be raising.
Well, see, they're selling small pens. That's about a 6x6 area. You keep them in a hen house, you put them there, no roosters, and that's how they're raising them. And so, I mean, they're not that big of a thing in one aspect. And the other aspect, I wouldn't want them next door to me either, but my neighbors even said, if you want to start growing chickens, I only want eggs. I said, no, I'm not doing it. Even though I have an acre, I said, I don't want any chickens, I don't want any eggs, I'll buy them.
We did talk about, you know, looking at how some of the other townships are handling it to see if we want to fine tune our zoning code, but at this time, they're prohibited unless you've got an acre. So, I mean, when we get these complaints, I think we just follow through with the zoning enforcement.
I did start looking at what some other townships do. Monclove and Springfield is exactly the same as ours. All 3 of us are on the same page.
Okay.
And whether that's right or wrong, but it's consistent.
Yes.
Okay, my other thing for you was about signs. I had so many people complain about the signs in the right-of-way when Jets Pizza was slamming them all over the place, and they were out all weekend in the right-of-way, I don't know, and...
I think that's a problem Mr. Zeitler and I discussed a month or so ago. The little trick, I think, is to put the signs out on the weekend, and then by Monday morning, they pull them down, or even have them up in the evenings when we're not working. They know what the zoning department isn't 24/7.
Plus, what do you want to do, because there's a lot of these residents that have these protect religious freedom, I see them all over the place anymore. I don't mind them being up for a period of time, but when they're up for 2, 3 months, or a year, I mean, I think we should have a limitation on how long you keep a sign in your yard for, you know, unless, you know, it's something special or something like that. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Well, the city just tackled this issue.
They did.
And they were sued over, you know, freedom of expression, and they chose that they're allowing them up year-round.
See, I think they should allow them up like for 30, 60 days, take them down for a month.
That's what
and
their
put them back up.
previous code had, was
Was
30 or 60 days prior to an election and 30 days after. And, you know, with Mr. Hanem on that council, being an attorney, I think he did most of the legal work on it. And, you know, I believe it was his recommendation that they removed those restrictions based on the...
Religious end of it?
No, the just political,
Okay.
you know...
Freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Freedom of speech,
All right, well,
yes.
that's fine, I just, you know, I've been having complaints about those two, so those are the only things that they complaints about.
Right, well, I
Well,
think
there's
any...
some distinction between, like, in your yard, you know, and in the right-of-way, and I think we can enforce, like, the right-of-way, I'm pretty sure of
Right,
that. But if
yeah.
you have it back in your yard, then the city of Sylvania, I think, is accurate in how they ended up coming down. But you can get, like, some of these advertisers who just run around a bunch of street corners and pump them in the right-of-way.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
we got
John,
plenty of those
okay.
We all
garage
know
sales.
that,
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
We got plenty of those garage sale signs hanging around after we have a garage sale, we pick them all up and put them away.
Exactly, yeah.
There's other people leave them laying out there for months. Yeah. Okay, that's all the complaints I had.
Anything else?
No.
Nope.
Hey, Gerald.
Great job, Daryl.
Yes, sir. Greg, do you have anything for, nothing? Next up is the Chief Fire Department, monthly report.
Thank you. Good evening. Before you, you have the April monthly report. On page 2, we'll start with page 2. You can see that our totals for April 2013 and 2012 are slightly different. We're up on our fires about 45 from last year to this year at the bottom of the page. Our structure fires are up a little bit also. On page 3, we get into EMS sector of it. We are still having issues with this new ETI program. We have also notified the state of Ohio that we are actually, at this time, non-compliant in our reporting of our EMS runs. We did get an extension from the Division of EMS to do this because we are having problems. Every other jurisdiction that went with this new ETI program is having the same issues, so the state's well aware of it. We're still trying to work through those software issues to make sure that we can comply with the state and give them the numbers. At the bottom of the page, Jim, the numbers are slightly off. We are down actually about 100 runs from where we were last year. So we are actually less than what we were from last year. On page 4 is a mutual aid incidents that we often talk about. We received mutual aid twice from Springfield on 2 structure fires, and we gave them mutual aid on one of their structure fires that they had on Weckley Road. Page 5, public safety education. We had 10 public safety events. The breakdown of events included 11 public education events. And we also participated in the Southview mock accident. That was the end of April, and the Northview mock accident was in the beginning of May. So we'll see that in the beginning of our May report. Crews, we had 2 engines, a life squad, and a transport unit there that they participated in, that we do the mock accident for prom night, along with the township police departments, city police departments, and the OSP. Again, we spend a lot of time, a lot of manpower on this, but we think it's worth it if we just save one teenager from not drinking and driving during prom night. Building and project plan reviews. We are also seeing an increase in our plan reviews and our building projects that go across Chief Freilich's desk. Special note, you know that we do have that return to the scene, that after a structure fire, we go into a neighborhood and anybody that doesn't have a smoke detector, we give them one, install it for them, or if it doesn't work, we install another smoke detector. Smoke detector that was previously installed by Savannah Township Fire Department crews alerted occupants of a home that was on fire. The occupants were able to safely evacuate the home and contact 911, and we were able to get into the house and put fire out relatively quick. But that was one home that did not have a smoke detector, that by us installing it and then we saved some people in the township with that. Commercial building inspections, crews are out. This is about 3/4 of the way down, Jim. Crews are out on the street doing commercial fire inspections. During the month of April, they went into 360 commercial businesses to get the inspections completed. Chief Freilich also organized 2 separate fire drills at Lourdes University. One was at the dorm, and the other one was at Lourdes Commons. This is a requirement that's put out by the state of Ohio that we participate in those and pull those fire alarms. And I think you were gonna do one in the middle of the night, but we didn't get to that one. We'll probably do it when they come back to school. Wake them up at 2 in the morning and get them out, see what happens. Page 6. Monthly training, Lucas County Continuing Education. We're in the education going back to the 4 hours a week, or 4 hours a month, excuse me. So we spent 224 hours of CE. June will be the last CE for a couple months. We're off July and August, but then we have ACLS, Advanced Cardiac Life Support class. It's an 8-hour class that will be done in August. So you'll see that number actually double in August. As I said, we did do some training with Lucas County. We also are training with our guys on the mass casualty incident, MCI 1 and MCI 2. You've heard me explain that before. We're getting on, this is going to be a county-wide plan, so when we have an incident of this type, everyone will be on the same page, operating the same way with the same equipment. On the last page, we have 2 thank you letters. One is from a person a mother that thanked us. Her daughter had a project for school. She went on our website, found a lot of good information on our website, and Deputy Chief Freilich takes care of that for us, does a great job with it, updates it all the time, and she found a lot of good information. And then the last letter is from a parent of a Southview student that was there at the mock accident, and she appreciated all of our efforts in going through that mock accident to try to help our teenagers make good decisions. Also, this is National EMS Week, so we'd like to thank all of our EMS personnel for their dedication throughout the year. That's all I have on my monthly report.
And I'm glad for all that the EMS people do.
Chief, I would like to personally thank you for your involvement in the SCAT 24-hour relay. I know that takes a lot of commitment and a lot of patience and a lot of energy on your part. And I know there was a lot of representation from the township here, but I know you were in a lead role, and thank you very much.
I appreciate that. I found out that at my age I can't stay up for 26 hours anymore and go right into Mother's Day without any rest. But thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next up is the Police Department with a monthly report and a resolution.
Good evening. We have before I start the monthly report real quick, I just want to acknowledge Greg's department. We have the Ohio Tactical Officers Association statewide conference this week, and they're utilizing our outdoor range pretty extensively out at the quarry. And a week ago, Greg was kind enough to supply a couple of trucks. France Stone had donated a lot of stone, and then a front end loader, I believe, too, to spread it around and that sort of thing, and that really helped us out. Because it's a pretty big deal. It's a state conference, and we wanted everything to look real good, and things are, from what I'm being told, things are going real well so far. And the OTOA that's the SWAT guys that run around out there with the automatic rifles and the black outfits, and I'm not into it, but thank God we got some people that are. Before you have the monthly report, and since I've got a couple of things I want to touch on not related to the monthly report, I'll let you just kind of look at the numbers and such, and just make a couple of comments. Overall calls were down about 400, which is like about 7%. Citations were down, but accidents, we are slightly down also. The citations, I will tell you that I get a lot of those complaints called in directly to me, or Community Affairs will let me know what's going on, that they've received complaints. And I'm not going to say I really think that people are driving slower out there once the weather got nicer. We're just not getting the complaints, and we usually focus a lot of our attention on those problem areas that are identified by the residents and such. So actually that's going pretty well so far. Just of note, a couple of the more serious crimes, burglaries, you can see we're down. Robberies, we're way down. And domestics and assaults combined, because I kind of relate them, even though they're different situations, they're both serious offenses, we're actually down a little bit there. We're down in thefts. And so far it's been a pretty good year. I won't go through the detective assignments. You can see the numbers there. And I won't, there's nothing of terrible note as far as just highlights of detective cases. I think I addressed it before on page 5. This is just, I just circled it on the one community affairs officer's note. We conducted active shooter training at the old Central Elementary School the week of April 8th. We did that in conjunction with the city. How do I say this politically correct? Most of our guys, our two officers that did the training really did the lion's share, even though the city was great too. And actually in my thank you letters and stuff, I will tell you that, and I'll go over a little more detail, we got letters from the Sheriff's Department because we allowed them to have 16 of their deputies in there training with us. And it's a school, it's an active shooter kind of thing. It's, Newtown or Columbine or recreating those kind of scenarios. And so it's very necessary training, and we got a couple of really nice letters about that. and it was a really, really good effort between Sylvania City, the township, and Captain Smith with the fire department did an excellent job too. And the sheriff's deputies, Sheriff Tharp and such complimented all three units and all 5 people that were actually involved in the training. As you know, we had the drug take-back program Saturday, April 27th. I do not have the numbers of what was collected, but I understand it was a pretty good amount. Well, I'll just say, let me just really quickly get to some of the, just a couple of these letters that I had received. Basically, I got a letter from Lieutenant Condon of Sheriff Tharp's office talking about the training and how useful they thought it was and how professional it was conducted. And one of the sergeants that was involved in it, I thought her comment was, her one comment was pretty neat. It talks about we do not get a lot of training due to budget constraints on the county and staff shortages. This was probably the most hands-on training that I have ever had. It was full of useful information and each officer was helpful and professional. It was a true reenactment of a very real possible scenario at a school. So, you know, that's it. I couldn't put it better, and it's something that it's very important that we're prepared for. Another letter of thanks. A couple of our officers, well, namely Officer Marsh was the primary officer, was involved in a domestic and an assault on Country Walk. And it just talks about he displayed the utmost professionalism and courtesy upon arrival at my daughter's house. He was thorough and able to put both myself and my daughter at ease in a situation that was extremely traumatic for both of us. Knowing that our community has people like Officer Marsh protecting it has provided me and my family a great deal of comfort. So that's a nice letter for Brian. Lastly, second to last, very quickly, there was a burglary in West Toledo. I'm sure you all know where Harvest Lane is. And it branched into a neighborhood then north of Lasky, just east of Talmadge, which is adjacent to Sylvania Township, as you know. Our crews, namely Officer Tollison, Bill Tollison, and Dave Shinover, were instrumental in engaging a suspect in a foot pursuit. And once they set up a perimeter around where the guy was last spotted with a good suspect description and such, and were instrumental. I've got a letter here from a lieutenant in TPD, and were very instrumental in the apprehension. This guy was involved, I had it here someplace, $4,000 were returned just on that burglary there to the rightful owner. This clown was, I shouldn't say that, this gentleman was involved in 15 other burglaries that were cleared as a result of arresting this subject. So obviously that's a real nice arrest and such. And then happy to report I was out there too, Glass City Marathon. It's a big event. It's a big kudo for our community. They came out here because let's just say they came out here and they didn't want to go in Toledo anymore. And a lot of it is due to the police and fire. And even though it poured all day, and it was the nastiest day to be out there you can ever imagine, it went off without a hitch. And I can tell you that there was a lot of, there was more planning than usual because, as you know, that occurred 2 weeks after the Boston Marathon bombing. And so we worked with, obviously, UTPD. The biggest concerns were down there at the start and finish line in the glass bowl, comparing it to the Boston situation and such. And it was a real good cooperative effort with the federal authorities and such. And we got a nice letter from the chief down in UTPD for our efforts along those lines. And with that, I'm going to, do you have any questions about monthly report?
No, we just had almost close to 200 pounds of drugs collected.
Okay, excellent. I was working on this other thing I'm going to talk to you about, and I didn't get to, thank you for the numbers. Before I talk about this other thing, I'm going to defer to Susan about the resolution about the safety town contracts.
You have Resolution 13056, execution of contracts with Safety Township staff. Officer Krychek, I believe he's with Community Affairs, heads this up. There's a coordinator contract, 4 teachers and 5 aides. This will be taking place in the township on June 17th through the 21st.
I'll offer Resolution 13-056 to execute contracts with Safety Township staff.
Second.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Yep. Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, lastly, I'd like to pass something out to you. This is something I am really sold on, really big on. About 3 months ago, I live in Springfield Township, down Centennial, just outside of Sylvania Township, but I live down where there's more trees, and it's kind of like a park, and I like that. I received something, a flyer in my paper box, okay? Or not a flyer, but a pamphlet. And I'm going to give you the one that I actually received. And I actually then later saw him in the Walmart store in Holland down there. And what it is an emergency procedures guide. And when I saw it right away, I have to tell you that I thought this is something, at least I believe, that we got to do for our community. It's a quick, easy reference to, well, we can customize it any way that we want to customize it. This is, I just have the one guide.
That's all right.
But, this is kind of how the program works. And basically, they usually have about 11 to 13 tabs in it, and you can see it covers, well, it's kind of appropriate that maybe we're talking about it now in light of the tragedy in Oklahoma City over the last couple days. You know, we want people to be prepared, okay? But this is something that you can see, it's very colorful, it really stands out. You'll see in the paperwork that I gave you that the average life of these things is from 9 to 12 years. People usually keep those around if they live in the community. It's just, I thought, a phenomenal tool for them to have ready at hand if, God forbid, there is a major disaster or, you know, a missing child, you name it. You can see with Springfield Township, that's the way they chose to customize theirs. That's one of the nice things about this too, is we'll be able to customize it any way we want. You usually stay within the 11 to 13 tabs, but I think probably 5 to 6 to 7 of the tabs would be police, and probably almost the same amount would be fire related or what. And in talking to the representative that we had in last week, we can tailor that and customize that pretty much any way we want. Usually staying within the 11 to 13 tabs, but I've already had a couple ideas police-wise as far as stranger danger kind of thing for kids, or domestic violence kind of material, because unfortunately domestic violence is so prevalent in our society, even out here in the suburbs. So it would be a very quick, easy reference guide that I think would be a fantastic service to the community. That's first and foremost. But also, the thing that's really nice about it is what a great way to promote Sylvania Township and the police and the fire department. The figures, what we're talking about is they did the survey, and there's 17,000 plus homes in Sylvania Township. Okay, after we talked to this gentleman, you know, we've got a lot of businesses too. He never even talked about the businesses. I kind of happen to think that we should get them to the businesses too. So what I would like to see us be able to do, or what I propose, is to get about 20,000 of these, okay? You can see the cost on the last page there, what that would run, okay? And actually, I had my copy and I misplaced it here someplace. But at any rate, If we pay 25% of that total cost, we can have our patches and everything on the front along with the sponsors, okay? For a cost, I remember these figures, of about $7,500 total, okay, for the township, we could have our police and fire patches and names right on the front with the sponsors, which again would demonstrate the township's commitment to people's safety and to something like this. If we split it or whatever, it wouldn't be an astronomical figure between the two of us. I have talked to Chief Kowalski a little bit about it, and he thinks it's a very good idea and very much behind it too. I just think it would be a tremendous tool, a tremendous asset for the people out here to have that. And if you have any questions, I can answer any questions. You've got the material that I have on it.
Would we be able to utilize the, seized or drug monies that we recover for this?
We may be able to. I have to check on that, okay? Usually that's more related to enforcement, but there's a possibility that we could.
Okay.
Okay? But I'll be very honest with you, even not going to that source for something this important, this big, I think we can find it in our budget. I can't speak for the fire department, obviously. So.
We just won't pass this raise tonight.
Well, let me get that stuff back. But, I think the pamphlet speaks for itself, quite frankly. And like I said, when I saw it, I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I saw it about 3 months ago. And then lo and behold, this company contacted us. And, the best part about it is he hasn't contacted the city yet. So, you know what? We can be the first on the block, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
Thanks for all your help. Good thinking, good stuff.
Yeah.
Very welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Next up is Administrator, and my first resolution, Susan will address, Resolution 13055.
As you know, we've had a policy or a resolution in place on solicitation in the community. In fact, we amended it last year. However, we came across a situation this past winter where someone went to someone's door, probably couldn't see that they didn't have a sticker, or they did have a sticker, but the woman was really scared because it was really dark out. She had no idea who it was. So we got to thinking about that maybe we need to restrict the hours of soliciting. So we talked about dawn to dusk, and that's a little bit too early, so we decided to change it to 9 o'clock in the morning to dusk. That way that takes care of daylight savings time, and we don't have to worry about it. So, but that is the only change that you're going to find in this resolution, is just to make that one small change in the time.
Well, wait a minute, I also see in here too that it says to require registration and regulation of transient vendors and notification by charitable solicitors. This says a new policy is going to require registration and regulation of transient visitors and registration of charitable solicitors. So we are changing the word from notification to registration. So that's a little bit different, but I'm glad that we're doing that in there. So I'll offer resolution 13-055. Resolution to repeal existing resolution number 12-106 and require registration and
109.
regulation of transient vendors by notification of charitable solicitors.
109.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, you're right, 109 to 13055. And dispensing of the second reading. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
Second.
Who seconded it? Oh, Neil.
I did.
Neil.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see, Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Haddad,
Yes.
Mr. Donald.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we got to pass 13055,
We
right?
did
It's
that.
all in one.
We all did it
Okay.
in one.
Okay.
We repealed every topic.
Next up on the Administrator is Resolution 13058, entering into a contract for property and casualty insurance. I know Mr. Ramsey wants to speak to it, but I'll just give a brief background. A couple of months ago, the trustees instructed the administration to go out and receive quotes for our property and casualty insurance. Administration went out and we received 3 quotes, did extensive review of them. 2 of the 3 came in and actually gave a presentation to Susan and I. And then after that, I made some phone calls and Susan made phone calls and to confirm what the people were saying, whether they were reputable, were other people happy with them. And we received nothing negative on either one, but the one quote from Otama was $14,264 less than the one from the Ohio plan. So we called some townships that used them, and without a doubt, everyone was happy with them and had no plans on switching. I talked to some insurance agents who had no bone in the fight, or whatever the saying is, and they all agreed that Otama was reputable and did a good job. They haven't raised their rates in 20-some years, and the 2 townships I talked to outside this area have had them for 20 years, have had taken quotes in previous years, and once again, had no reason to switch. So for that reason, in the savings of the $14,264, I'm recommending that we enter into a 1-year agreement with Otama at a price of $91,321.
I have some comments to make, so that way the other trustees can be informed.
Let Mr. Ramsdell.
Okay, speak. It's up to him.
Yeah.
You want him to talk, go ahead, but I got some information.
Thank you. I'm Tom Ramsdell. I'm with Stapleton Insurance at 7250 Crossley Court here in Sylvania Township. I have had the pleasure of being the insurance agent for Sylvania Township since 1984. It's going on almost 30 years, and I think by industry expectation that far exceeds a usual insurance relationship, and I want to take the opportunity to thank you very, very much for those 30 years. I also want to say that, it couldn't have been done without working with good people, and I've had tremendously good people to work with at the township, including everyone in this room. As a couple of you know, I do have some concern with the Otama program, and it's not a concern from a coverage standpoint, because from a coverage standpoint, I think it stacks up with the other 2 programs that you've received quotes on. My concerns have to do with the membership agreement that you're going to have to sign to get into the program. And I think there is a potential for a future financial obligation that could cripple the township. And it has to do mostly with situations where the pool of Otama would dissolve. It would be when you decide to leave the pool, or when the pool says they no longer want you as a client. It's my belief that the potential risk far exceeds the instant gratification of today's premium savings. So that you fully understand the membership agreement, as your current agent, it would be my recommendation that you have the township's legal counsel review that membership agreement before entering into it. Today is May 21st. I think that review can be done by June 1st, but I don't know what the schedule is of your legal counsel. But in case it takes longer than that, I'm prepared to offer you a 30-day extension on your current program at a pro rata premium of the current rates, so that you can be properly educated on that contract. And that would be my recommendation, and with whatever decision you decide after that, I will fully respect. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Tom took half of the stuff I was going to explain to you guys about. That's what I was going to tell you. I got the contract here and I reviewed it fully from Otama. We just got out of Omarissa with the health care. And understand this, during the last 60 days, if they decide to get out, whoever the trustees are at that time, there's no coverage from Otama. So if there's an incident that occurs during that 60-day period, we won't have any coverage. And if there's a back claim that comes up out of the blue, we won't have any coverage. It's $15,000 savings right now, which sounds good, but with our claims, which are a total of payouts of $46,666.08, I'm a little concerned about switching over right now, because with the Ohio plan, which is basically the same thing, but it's not a consortium, which we just got out of. And I'm just worried about, like Tom brought up, if we're in another consortium, we're stuck, something fall apart, they could dissolve it, they have a major claim. Anything could happen, we'll lose our money, and we have to start paying funds up front. So that's up to you guys to decide, but I have it all here if you guys want to look at it.
I know Tom, I work with him through the ON and PART system, I trust him. I don't disagree with what he's saying is a concern for us. He shows a genuine concern. A couple of things I would like to say that in the state of Ohio, TAMA represents over 1,000 townships. They also, what Kevin said is, if you leave them, which at this point I don't plan on it, but if something comes up and we ever want to leave them, Kevin is right that we are not covered for any claims that would arise from the day we leave them. If somebody made a claim that an accident happened 6 months earlier and we just found out the claim after we left Otama, we do not have insurance, technically. But talking to various insurance agents, once again, who have no vested interest in this, that there is insurance you can get out there for the unforeseen instances. The only time you really can't get insurance is if you have a claim pending, a known claim. At that time, what I would recommend is we would review that claim with our counsel, and if it's big enough or looks like we're going to lose it, we would stay with Otama for another year until that claim was settled. That would be a business decision. If the claim is $1 million and our counsel says, this is going to be something we should worry about, we would stay with them. If it's a claim for $250 for a broken door, I would take our chances leaving. If we have to pay $250, we pay $250. The policies, we did a comparison between the two. I actually think the Otama is a better policy. It has a higher aggregate amount than the Ohio plan. It covers little things like the trustees' bonds are included in the premium. I can't think of all the numerous ones, but we weighed them out side by side, and I think it's a better plan. Once again, it's the trustees' decision. I'm looking at it as insurance for the township that I think is better and at almost a $15,000 saving. So that's my recommendation, but the trustees are the ones that determine it. If you have concerns, we could always wait, and Tom has graciously said that he would extend our policy for a month if we need to, but...
we can have a special meeting too to vote on it before the end of the month.
Yes, we can always...
We can do a 24-hour notice, just do a special meeting, vote on it.
And I would also...
I'd like you guys to review it.
My plan always was, we would have our legal counsel look at it. He would set up any of our contracts to make sure that we're protected by it. So, once again, I'm looking at my personal opinion after doing review, talking to many people, other townships, other insurance agents, that I would still recommend the Otama plan at a $15,000 reduction.
I agree with you, they're both good plans, but I mean, I'd like you guys to
Yeah,
do that.
believe me, I'm not saying anything against the Ohio plan.
I've looked at it, I've talked to Tom several times here in the last couple of weeks, and, well, did we put forth the motion, or do we want to table it for 30 days? What's our thought? Do we want...
I'm torn because, John and Susan, you guys are the managers. You guys know what you're doing. I got a guy that's been doing it for 30 years. Brought up a good question about bringing up an attorney, having an attorney look at it. Mr. Headhead's brought some paper up that's new to me. Maybe it's not.
I just got it 2 days ago, I'm sorry.
Okay. Again, I'm 100% behind my managers, is what you guys do in reading this, but, for 30 days, if they're willing to give it to us, let's make sure we're dialed in. So, I guess my thought would be is to push it 30 days and, or prior. Jim.
That would be by next Friday. 10 days, 12, 11 days.
And again, I want to be very clear. You guys have spent a lot of time on this. A lot of time, and you got a great handle on it. So let's see if there's a curveball.
I know, I
throws this out. So we want to just, you guys have done a great job with this.
I can have it, as Tom said, I can get a hold of our legal counsel tomorrow. I can't guarantee I'll look at it tomorrow, but expedite looking at it.
I was just informed by our attorney on the board here that Mr. Burrell is out of town till Tuesday.
Oh,
Through Tuesday.
Through Tuesday.
Yeah, for the holiday weekend, but he's...
Well, he's gone now. I think he left today.
I just saw him this morning. I don't know if he's leaving today.
Well, maybe tomorrow then.
I think he's
but
leaving
today's
tomorrow.
done.
okay, well,
But, I mean, there are other lawyers up there, but he's the guy we usually go.
Well, Carleen could look at it too. She's there.
Well, whatever you think is, whoever you'd like to have look at it, John.
Maybe what you could do is if you get it down there, and if they can get it done, then great, and if they can't, then we've got we can get an extension for 30 days, and so, yeah. How about
Plus,
that?
Tom brought up some good points, and he's the insurance man too. That's, his job.
so then if I hear the board correctly, I think what we should do is table this at this time.
Because the next one was
Oh, it is on.
Wells Fargo, and they were like at 128 something.
Yeah, that we didn't even consider. I'd make a motion then to table this resolution.
All right, I'll make a motion to table the resolution temporarily, either for a week or a month.
Second?
Okay, I will call the roll. Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
My next resolution is the walk-on I talked about. It's Resolution 13060. If you recall, about a month ago, Chief Kowalski was up here and talking about the EMS agreement between us and all the other subdivisions that have a life squad in the county. At that time, it was agreed verbally that the county would increase the contribution $50,000 this year, and then 2% for the next year, and then 2% for the third year. I finally have the resolution in front of me with all that stated in it, and so at this time, or the contract, so at this time, I'm asking for a resolution to execute this agreement for provision of countywide emergency medical services, which details what the chief talked to you about a month ago, and by that, then I can get signatures to execute this.
I'd like to offer Resolution 13-060, execute agreement for provision of the countywide emergency medical services.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Haddad?
Yes.
Next item is open discussion.
I have one thing I want to bring up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This
I
one
forgot.
officer?
Yeah, that's the
Go ahead, you do yours
that's the
first.
second time I've done that. I'm sorry.
Personal slight.
Sorry, Dave.
We have up, well, not yet, but the month-end analysis, which you all have. And briefly, revenues are really what we are expecting, as are expenditures at this time. We're 4 months in. And so I think those are the key things, and I think the departments are doing a good job that are managing, to their budgets. And so that's essentially, where we're standing as far as revenues and expenditures at 4 months in. You note that we did have a larger than expected state tax receipt we got in. That's probably our probably getting near the end. There'll be a few more that'll be trickling in, but as you know, the state tax laws have changed that as of December 31st. If you are unlucky enough to die on December 31st, well, your state gets taxed, and if you January 1, no. And so, but some of those things will linger some, and that the money will come in. So we'll see, but this is probably you can't expect this in the future if you want to go down dramatically. That did impact our budget some. But that's all I have on the analysis. Next, I have resolution number 13057, and it's on transfer of fund, and it's regarding the fire bond interest being due. And so, I have a resolution to send to that, and it actually, where is it, $601,890 interest due.
Offer resolution 13-057, transfer funds for the debt service of the fire bond.
Second.
Okay, calling the roll, Mr. Haddad.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
That's all I have.
We're open discussion now?
Open discussion, nobody signed in under the,
Well, that's all right. I wanted to bring one thing. John, I read your article in The Advantage this week, and it was very nicely executed. I'm very glad you did this, and that shows that we can work together on getting some stuff accomplished for the township and moving forward. So I'm glad we worked together as a team on this, and it was very good that we did this.
Yes, it was.
Thank you. That's all I have to say.
I have one thing to bring up, as, well, you're aware of it, but today was the commissioners' hearing on the annexation for the property on Arbor Way. The commissioners passed it, and one of the things I kept trying to stress, and I don't know why it wasn't picked up, is that one of the residents stood up and said how 14 years ago, which we weren't here then, the township trustees said they'd be putting a sewer line in. Well, the township doesn't put sewer lines in. Either the city of Sylvania does or the county does. And I brought that up. I stood up at the meeting and said that, but the resident still said that. And so I just want to clarify it, because I don't know how the article in the paper will be, but I know it was on the news, is that the township doesn't do sewer lines. It's either done by the county or the city of Sylvania. And actually, that street is in the city of Sylvania sewer district, so it's up to them to put the sewer lines in. Now, they can put them in by petition if they want to put them on their own, but when he stood there and said, well, 14 years ago, the township said they had put the sewer lines in, that's wrong. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't said. I don't know who the trustees were. I don't know if he heard it from a trustee. He never said that, but I want it clear that the township doesn't put sewer lines in, so it's not like we didn't do something. And the way the tone was like, well, the township failed at this, and it wasn't us. And I said that down there, and Kevin was there, and I don't know why it's not picked up.
I'll explain to you. Bill, who started the whole thing up, was a past policeman from Sylvania City. And when Finnegan and those guys basically told him that they were going to put in sewers for him, they never followed through on the issue or nothing like that. Also, I told them that the county's got to pay for it, do it either way, and it's going to be on their taxes from the city or from the township. And Bill was the only one that showed up, Bill Dreyer. The other ones didn't show up, none of the people showed up, and I did door-to-door and talk to the people about the whole situation. And they said, well, we would like street lighting. I said, we can put a lighting district in and just form an association to do that. We could put the sewers in, but they decided they want to go to the city with garbage collection, and they wanted services, and it was also told to them, too, that they're going to pay a fee for garbage if they don't pay income tax. Go ahead, Neil, I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
I'll wait till you're finished, you're fine.
I'm done, go ahead.
Let me make, John, I want to be clear on this. You just said that we cannot put sewers in the township.
The township does not have a sewer
So
district.
I'm not sure what your...
No, the county does that for them if they petition.
Yeah, the county-
Through the county, not through the township?
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
very good.
Well, it goes through.
But he was standing up saying 14 years ago, the township said they're going to put them in, and we don't put sewers in. We've never put sewers in.
Yeah. You have a
And
county
they're not
or
even,
city?
they're not even in, they're not even in the county district, they're in the city of Sylvania's district. And so I just wanted to clarify, because the tone was, well, the township failed because we didn't do this. And I wanted to stress, the township has nothing to do with it. It's not our fight for sewers. It's between the county and the city of, not that they're fighting each other, but that's the people that put sewers in.
Well, really, some of those areas, they're already divided up into, some areas in this, they're divided up, and it's in the city sewer district, and if we want to, if the county wants to do it, go into the city of Sylvania, they can. And that you can only build in the designated areas. The county has its area, and they can build sewers in there. If the city of Sylvania wanted to go into, they couldn't do it. And the township has no authority, as we sit here, to put in sewers or water lines.
But they could petition us for that, and we just go to the county and then bring it to the county, and they get...
But the county still installs it.
But the county...
The petition actually would go to the county.
Authority from the city to
Right.
go into the city's district, and normally, most entities don't do that. It's rare. The only time you might do that is sometimes they'll like swap. Well, it makes more sense. Or like, let's say the county do it because it's right, they got a feeder line there already and that, but you know, you have to have authority for someone to go into their district. And even if they petition us, and then we go to the county.
Actually, we would just send the petition to the county, because the county's the one that
And then the
decides.
county would have to negotiate with the city, and, you
and determine and do the cost estimates and construction.
We'd be out of it.
Hey, John, sorry for interrupting
Oh.
there when you were talking. I apologize.
No.
No, yep.
I do think that there was a lot of misinformation at that, and I know you represented the township well and gave our side, but I know sometimes it's difficult to
Convince people.
when their minds have been made up for a long time, so,
And as I said, my first, as the trustees have told me, it's up to the people to decide what
Yes.
they want.
Yeah, it was their willingness to go into the city, so we had no choice in it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like the city was annexing them.
yes. Okay, did anybody sign in
No.
for, at this time, I would like to offer a motion to go into an executive session to discuss non-union salaries
Correct.
at 6:59.
Second.
Mr. Boney,
Yes.
Mr. Genowine,
Yes.
Mr. Head.
Yes. We on?
Let's wait till John and Susan.
That's okay, we still come out of executive session.
Okay. I'd like to offer a motion to come out of executive session at 7:08.
Second?
Mr. Head.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney,
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. I would like to offer Resolution 13-026, authorize pay increases for non-union personnel. Be it resolved by the Sylvania Township, by the trustees of Sylvania Township, Lucas County, that pay increases for non-union personnel shall be approved retroactive to January 1st, 2013, per attached sheet.
Second.
Call the roll. Mr. Head.
With reluctance, with the economy, I'll say yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes. At this time, I would like to offer a motion to adjourn at
Second.
7:09.
Okay, call the roll. Mr. Head.
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Genowine.
Yes.
Thank you. Everybody have a good holiday.
Thank you, John.
Take Monday off.